Kevin Feige confirmed that the Fantastic Four will be set in the 60s and in an alternate universe. So we will not be enjoying the Fantastic Four explaining why weren't there to kick the pants off of Thanos. So
Mm-hmm. So why would we even do that? Like, obviously, this is going to relate somehow to the main MCU universe in some way, shape, or form. We just haven't seen it yet. But it's like, what's even the point of trying to? I mean, unless you're gonna just blow this whole thing up, which who knows? They be very well be close to doing at this
nope.
point. Why are we like? Why are we doing? Okay, let's start it in the '60s, guys. Let's start it in the '60s. Unless, of course, they're going to use the '60s for like a backdrop on a bunch of like racial storytelling that could be involved in circles. Like, hey guys, remember what it was like in America in the '60s, where we used to spray black people with water hoses, and then there was this guy that was going around talking about a dream, and then he got shot, and then there was this other guy who was also talking about something around that. He got shot. There's a lot of people getting shot like around 64. It's very weird. Don't think too much into it though.
Yeah, no, it's not important. It's not
Yeah.
important. That was completely coincidental.
Especially if he was the president, really don't look into it.
Right. Those were lone wolves who acted
Mhm.
by themselves and with no help whatsoever.
That they totally weren't the CIA that we found out after fact.
No. But so are we ready for a cider predicts, or do you want to talk about this?
Go ahead. Go with your prediction.
So we've been hearing that they're bringing Chris Evans back into the MCU. We've been hearing that Robert Downey Jr. is being brought back into it. In this very same interview, Kevin Feige said that Hugh Jackman insisted that if he was going to be in Secret Wars, Chris Evans, Tobey Maguire, and Robert Downey Jr. also had to be in it. Okay? And what we know, by the way, is that Deadpool and Wolverine, as admitted by Ryan Reynolds, ends with the first scene of Secret Wars. So, what do you know, guys? Robert Downey also admitted that he's cooled off and is interested on returning into the MCU. Here's the vehicle. Captain America went back in time. He screwed up the flow of time by doing so and created a skewed alternate reality where Tony Stark still discovers time travel and attempts to travel back in time to correct this erroneous branch that broke off from the ring that was broken by female Loki when she released a divine timeline in the Loki television show where Kang came from.
Yeah,
And
sure.
this is what they're going to do. Is Captain America is going to be a 1960s version of Chris Evans, who's in his later 40s, so he matches with Chris's current age. He's been around. He's been, he's served in the Korean ordeal, so he's a little grizzled. He's seen the worst of it. The first breaths of Vietnam are starting to be breathed, and these dickheads go up into space, which causes the Russians to get miffed. That's when Tony Stark bursts through the sky, right when the cosmic wave hits, and that's when he traces the time break to, if you will, when this branch came off. And that'll be the introduction to how they explain Captain America and Iron Man teaming up with the Fantastic Four to deal with Galactus and his daughter that he had with the Herald. And that'll be where the daughter we keep hearing about comes from. It'll be the daughter he had with the Herald. And it won't be sex. She hatched because they put their energy together. And that's what the power cosmic and the power of Galactus can do, is they can make a baby.
Well, here's the problem with that. Like, didn't they, correct me if I'm wrong here, but for those of you who remember Avengers, was it Endgame? Didn't they go like exceedingly out of their way when they did the whole time travel debacle to make people realize that, hey, if you go back and you change something about the past, it doesn't actually change time. It's not like those old like Back to the Future time travel movies. It just creates a bunch of fractured timelines and stuff like that. That way we could go back and drop all the little power stones back in its proper place, and it'd be like we were never there in the first place, even though that's not how time travel works like at all. They just like severely overcomplicated the concept in order to make people think that they actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and then they gave us like a 3D representation of what time travel looked like, and it was like a stock photo they 3Dified. Yep, a funnel. Time travel's a funnel, guys. Did you know that? Time's just a funnel that you pour oil into your engine with. know, that's all it is. It's a big old funnel. But yeah,
That's
that's what they're gonna do.
Especially like in the comics universe, when like you can basically like turn anything into like an ultimate like universe or whatever. Like there's like universes in like Marvel that don't even have like an official number to it, because it was just like, oh, this is like, what if, you know, Punisher was like Red Skull or something. Like, this is temporary universe number 600-825-B, and then that's what they like label it as. To try to make that canon in a movie sense, where basically nothing makes any sense because there's no actual rules, you can basically like, you know, BS your way out of everything, completely destroys the entire fabric of like everything that you've built up to this point.
And I want to point out that my previous prediction about the Fantastic Four not belonging to this reality, but getting sucked up into the proper MCU reality, was proven right again.
Do you think that in this universe they'll use lightsabers to cut their own hair? Like, you think that'll be like a thing?
I think I'm not kidding you right now. I'm telling you 100% honest with you. Reed Richards will be cutting his beard with a laser, or like a 60s styled laser razor.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's what he'll call it. He'll call it the laser razor, right? And Ben Grimm will be like, "Oh, that's dumb. Ain't nobody gonna use a laser razor. Oh, look at me, honey. I got me a laser razor. I'm gonna go cut my face with a laser. Look, Johnny, I got a laser razor." I can see the scene right now. They're gonna do it.
And the worst part about this whole thing that we haven't even talked about yet is that they're still selling you on this whole idea that it's gonna be what's his face over here, the dude who's in like everything, like literally every single movie now, who plays Reed Richards now.
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal, yeah, that's the guy's name. Like that he's gonna be like the face of whatever we're trying to do with the Fantastic Four. Now, here's another big problem that I have. Or I guess not problem, but just way we've gone. We've talked about this before. Disney paid what, $78 billion to buy 20th Century Fox and obtain the rights to like Fantastic Four and X-Men and like all this whole thing. And in the course of what, the last 7 years that they've had this property, we're only just
71.3
billion would be yeah, but
billion,
so in the 7 years, we're only just now getting a Wolverine and Deadpool movie that you know, may or may not. We still don't know where that's gonna go, but they're just hoping that all you guys really like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. And then outside of that, in 2 to 3 years, depending on if there's like a mountain of reshoots in between, then you'll get this movie. So I just think to myself, like, what was fundamentally the point of even doing this in the first place if this is all that we were going to get out of this after what, 7, 8, 9 years, and all we're going to get is what, Deadpool, Wolverine, and then this movie?
Well, think about it though. Okay, there's a point to Wolverine having a 99% comic book accurate costume right down to the headpiece.
That's very true.
And that's what they've realized the mistake. But Nerdigans and I were talking about this a little earlier about how when they go into anime live action, they dull down the costumes and make them very boring and stupid looking, like cosplay from Etsy, very cheap cosplay. Yeah. And so now over on the superhero side, they go in the opposite direction and way overcomplicate the costumes, way away from the original material. Because, nobody's going to believe a guy in a cotton suit with his underwear on the outside can stop a comet. And that he's got to have armor. He's bulletproof, but he's got to have armor. We'll get into that. Anyway, This right here is going to be the return to form. This is going to be Kevin's new pitch that he's going to bring to America. They're going to go full comic book, right? They're going to give you the stories you asked for. You're going to get Secret Wars. You're going to get 60% of what Secret Wars did in the comics, and then 40% of Agenda, the message. I would not be a bit surprised if Doom became analogous for Vladimir Putin. That he is a former KGB agent that found the occult, and he was thrust out of the agency for embracing religion, and they don't allow that. And that's that. I guarantee you that Doom will have roots that in Putin's background. And that'll be part of the agenda. And he's going to get started here. This is where the rift is going to happen. Tony will show him that there's a way to travel through time. And in the process of time traveling, he's going to discover the Kang Continuum, the Council of Kangs, and absorb their power, just like I explained last time, which will write Majors out. They don't have to worry about Majors anymore. They don't have to correct him anymore. Now Doom has the power of thousands of Kangs. Now that's a meme on it. I am all the Kangs. Yes, like I am all the Jedi. I am all the Sith. I am all the Kangs, and it's a white guy.
Like, if we don't get a line at some way, shape, or form that says we are Kang or something along that line, it's like, is any of this actually worth it? At the end of the day, is any of this actually worth it?
Well, see, that's just it, is that, like, it's not. Because you know as well as I do that all of this is leading toward a massive reboot. Secret Wars is only to establish that everybody who's over 40 gets booted out of the MCU. That's all that Secret Wars is meant to do, is to be a Gen X sweeper.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have no other choice because, like I said, this was supposed to be their plan for like another, 3 years from now, and everyone was so amazed by what they've seen with Kang the Conqueror because they went all in on Jonathan Majors, and it was like, oh, if you love this one, then we really got the chaser over here for you with Secret Wars, and then the plan blew up so spectacularly. There was like, okay, now we have to fast forward straight to Secret Wars now because we actually don't have anything else outside of this, and everything else is falling out at the seams. It's like Blade's a mess, Black Captain America's not working out. Agatha, who even gridlit Agatha? Why was that even a thing? So it's like, oh my god, how do we keep everyone how do we avoid losing like $300 million for like every picture that we release in the next 3 years? And that's basically where they are right now.
Mitch Ryan, this is the point of establishing the 3 different ways you become a superhero. Fantastic Four will originate from a separate universe from Hugh Jackman's X-Men. Now, Hugh Jackman's X-Men will occupy the same universe that Deadpool occupied, as we saw in the Deadpool movies featuring, gosh, my brain is just empty. Colossus. There we go. I wrote a comic book with the same name. Anyway, Colossus. But anyway, Colossus. So, as we know, so this is what they're establishing. You become a superhero through science or magic, right? With your Avengers, the proper MCU that we grew up on, you know, then this is going to be, you become a superhero by accident. This universe will be a universe where accidents make superheroes. The Captain America will be the only, because he's from our proper universe, he'll be the only one that isn't an accident per se, you know. And then also the next level where the next level mutants they're talking about, where Henry Cavill's Wolverine is going to come from. Because again, we hear now that there's rumblings that they're going to cast Henry Cavill, however you want to say it, as Wolverine to replace Hugh Jackman. So he's going to come from a universe where you're born a superhero, which will be different from Hugh Jackman and Deadpool's, which is being destroyed. That's why you see the ruinous desert where the Century Fox logo is all crumbled and destroyed, and you see all this destruction of Fox media property, and they're walking across it, beating each other up. That's the death of Deadpool's world. And so this will open up Henry Cavill's world as merging in. And that's what they're going to do. I'm sorry, I have a mutant power of predicting the brain dead moves these companies do.
And then now I'm having like a flashback of like that one scene in what was it, quite literally The Flash. If you guys remember the Ezra Miller movie from last year, where it's like all the worlds are converging on one another. And you get that one quick scene of like, oh my god, it's Nicolas Cage as Superman, but it's in the other universe that never actually existed, but we're going to see it now. It's like it was all worth it for 20-something years. It's just like, yeah, we're in bad shit.
All paid out into one scene.
Well, there's also the rumor that Wesley Snipes' Blade is going to appear in the Deadpool movie. I was like, wait, what?
Yep.
That's random.
Well. Look, I guarantee you, as frail as Wesley looks right now, I guarantee you he can still flip that sword around his wrist real quick. And that's all he has to do is flip that sword around his wrist, hold up the sword like this, and say, some motherfuckers are always trying to skate uphill. That's all he has to say. It's literally the cameo of Nicolas Cage fighting the spider. But everybody wants that scene, I think it's the most well-known improvised line in movie history. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. That is the most I believe it's the most well-known improvised line in Hollywood history. But
I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's like, actually, the way Luke said that's not true, that's impossible, was an ad lib, and I'll be like, you know what, nerd, get out of here.
Mitch, I don't think they'll de-age him. I don't think they'll de-age Wesley because again, they're killing Deadpool's universe. This will be a parody of Deadpool kills the universe, and that his actions lead to the death of the universe rather than him going around and shooting everybody. So. This is going. They're going to go full because Ryan Reynolds likes the Deadpool character, so he's going to honor a lot of that. But Marvel has its agenda, and so they've made an unholy alliance of memes and propaganda, and that's what the festering mess of Deadpool and Wolverine is going to give you. Lots of nostalgia, but then like the aftertaste of that's communism. That's communism. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's